to reconcile by in a judgment. My lord, even Parliament will have to undertake a humongous exercise if the Parliament, as a policy, decides to recognize the marriage. A gender that is indefinable or indomitable, people identifying with this gender refuse to be categorized in any particular gender identity. So, whether they are man or woman, which provision of which law which governs either man or woman, Lord, will be a big question. Then 4, also called ABS gender, this gender identified changes according to one's surroundings. This is kind of a fluid. There is nothing not specific. Then 6, this is based on the person's mood swings or fluctuations. So a person can be having, my lord, male sexuality for some time and a female sexuality for some time, and say at the time of divorce, if a lordship were to read person and they get the recognition of marriage under the Special Marriage Act, Lord, what would be their gender when we test, Lord, the grounds of divorce?
What is the source of this table, Mr. Solicitor?
Lord, this is, Lord, I don't think, Lord, it is. There are various sources, my lord, but essentially from.
Must be taken from somewhere, some glossary or something.
Medicine net.
Turn to the previous page. It gives us the footnote. Sports medicine.
But, my lord, I have checked up from 2-3 sources. This list is consistent.
Yes, yeah. You have given in your footnote 45.
In the footnote, yes, my lord, I have given medicinenet.com.
On page 108, footnote 45 at the heading. So, yes. Medicine Net.
Footnote 43, my lord. 45.
Others,
45.
Others.
Then, my lords, 8. Alexi gender. The person has a fluid gender identity between more than one type of gender, although they cannot name the genders they feel fluid in. Then, the gender identity stands apart from existing social gender constructs. It means having a strong specific gender identity that is neither male nor female. My lord, transgender, my lord, is different. Transgender, my lord, is conventionally, as we know, is different. Now defined to mean everything, my lord. But transgender means, my lord, the person who has sexual genitals other than what, my lord, he is supposed to be born with. My lord, then Amara gender, having a gender identity that changes depending on the person one is emotionally attached to. If a person is emotionally attached to a man, then he has a male sexuality. If woman, then he has a feminine sexuality. Then embonic. The person identifies themselves as both man and woman and yet does not belong to either. Therefore, I repeatedly say this is an unidentifiable class we are dealing with. Then, amica gender, a gender fluid identity where a person changes their gender depending on the friends they have. It's also called, my lord, by some as pure gender, my lord. My lord, 17, my lord. Anogender. The gender identity fades in and out in intensity, but always comes back to the same gender feeling. So at particular act, he has one gender identity, then it changes, it comes back. These are not facts I am giving. I am without having any value judgment. The only limited purpose of showing is that would it be prudent or possible for the court to lay down, my lord, regulations, even if your lordships are persuaded to confer them with the socio-legal status of marriage. Because then regulating it would be impossible, because there would be 101 contingencies, which, my lord, with best of the assistance on our side, your lordships, my lord, cannot conceive of. Then, my lord, kindly turn the page. My lord, 27, exigender. A gender identity that is between the two extremes of a gender and any other type of gender. Both the genders are experienced one at a time without any overlapping. The two genders are described as on the opposite ends of an axis. And bigender, having two gender identities at the same or different times. Then 30, blur gender, also called gender fuss. Blur gender means having more than one gender identities that blur into each other so that no particular type of gender identity is clear. Etc., my lord, etc. I'm not giving examples, my lord. Now, my lord, your lordships are necessarily dealing with an unidentifiable class.